Dear friend, have you ever sensed a slight hesitation in someone's eyes when you get close? Or noticed your beloved grandchildren pausing before giving you the warm embrace they once rushed to share? It could be a sign of a hidden struggle, a challenge faced by millions of seniors, yet rarely spoken of openly. I am Dr. Henry Thompson, a geriatric specialist with over 40 years of dedicated experience. Today, I'm here not to judge, but to gently pull back the curtain on a truth concerning age-related body odor, a truth that could help you regain confidence and warmth in your social connections. Please journey with me to the end, my friend, because in the final part, I will share a simple, doctor-approved method to gently diminish that characteristic scent of aging, requiring just a few minutes of practice each day. This method can bring you closer to your loved ones, dissolving awkward moments and unnecessary sadness. Before we begin, if you feel the upcoming insights might be helpful, please show your appreciation with a like for this video. Your encouragement gives me strength to share meaningful lessons about our golden years. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I invite you to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we can journey together in future videos. If you enjoy this content, please leave a comment with the number 1. If you're not satisfied, the number 0 will help me know so I can improve. Now, let's begin our story. Last week, I had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Frank Wilson, an 88-year-old gentleman, still sharp-witted with a twinkle in his eye. During our conversation, he smiled slightly, a hint of embarrassment in his eyes. "Dr. Henry," he said, "I use the most expensive cologne money can buy, yet my son still won't linger in my room for more than a minute." His frustration was palpable. To illustrate, he slowly walked to the window, dramatically throwing it open, letting the cool breeze sweep through the room as if to banish some invisible scent. Watching him stand there, gazing out with a mix of sadness and helplessness, my heart went out to him. I knew I needed to be candid, yet gentle. "Mr. Wilson," I began softly, "to be perfectly honest, that fancy cologne isn't solving the problem. In fact, it might be making things worse." He looked at me, puzzled. I elaborated. "Layering cologne doesn't eliminate the root cause of the scent. It only masks it temporarily, like spraying air freshener in a bathroom that hasn't been properly cleaned. The underlying natural body scent remains, and when it mixes with artificial fragrance, the combination can sometimes become even more unpleasant." Mr. Wilson nodded slowly, absorbing my words. I continued, "This is a mistake I often see among older adults. When they notice an unusual body scent, their first instinct is to douse themselves in deodorant or perfume, thinking that will fix it. But it's a flawed approach. Instead of neutralizing the odor, it creates a clashing, intensified aroma, the characteristic scent of aging mixed with artificial fragrance, making others even more uncomfortable. And what happens next? More windows get opened, and the embarrassment deepens. To break this frustrating cycle, I emphasized, we need to understand the real source of what's often called the old person smell. Simply putting a Band-Aid solution on it isn't enough. We need to understand what's happening physiologically. "Mr. Wilson," I asked gently, "are you aware there's actual science behind this phenomenon? It's not just about age or skipping a shower. It stems from natural physiological changes our bodies undergo over time." He leaned forward, intrigued, and I began to share the details, hoping to shed light on a topic too often dismissed or misunderstood. As we age, our bodies experience 3 significant shifts that contribute to this characteristic scent. Changes in perspiration. When we're young, we sweat about a liter a day, helping flush out toxins and cool the skin. But after age 60, this amount decreases by more than half. You might think, less sweat, less smell, right? But it's the opposite. Sweat is the body's natural detoxification system. When we sweat less, toxins and waste products tend to linger on the skin, creating an environment where bacteria and microorganisms thrive. Their breakdown processes are what actually produce unpleasant odors. Mrs. Nancy Clark, 71, once confided in me, "Doctor, I barely sweat anymore. Why do I still have a smell?" I explained that it's precisely because she sweats less that the issue persists. The trapped toxins are the culprits. Changes in sebum composition. Sebum is the natural oil that keeps our skin supple. As we age, its composition changes subtly but significantly. After years of research, I identified a compound called 2-nonenal as a key player. This oxidized fatty acid starts appearing in sebum around age 50 and peaks by age 70, while being virtually absent in younger individuals. It's 2-nonenal that's responsible for the distinct scent often described as the old person smell. A somewhat sharp, greasy odor that's hard to ignore. The chemical makeup of youthful sebum is simply different, lacking this potent compound. Changes in the oral environment. After age 60, saliva production drops dramatically by more than 50%. This has a bigger impact than most realize. Saliva not only aids digestion but also balances the mouth's pH and washes away odor-causing bacteria. When saliva decreases, the mouth becomes dry, bacteria flourish, and the result is stale, unpleasant breath. Mrs. Linda Harris, 69, shared, "When I talk, I can smell it myself, and my mouth feels like a desert. I'm so self-conscious I even avoid getting close to my grandchildren." Her story isn't rare. Despite regular bathing, perfume, and mouthwash, the odor can persist because of these internal changes. So why don't colognes or quick fixes work? Because they don't address these three root causes. But the good news is, there is a solution, and it's simpler than you might think. You're just missing the crucial pieces of the puzzle. If you're reading these lines and finding them helpful, please leave a comment with the number 1 below to let me know you're still engaged and finding this valuable. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Your support motivates me to continue sharing valuable insights like these. Now, let's move on to the solutions. If you stop here, you might waste time and money on ineffective remedies. Trust me, I've seen it happen many times. But stay with me and I'll share a method that works, backed by observable results in as little as a week. These are straightforward, practical steps to banish that unwanted odor for good. Follow through consistently, and within a month, your family's perception could transform entirely. Patients often ask me, "Dr. Henry, can this smell really be eliminated?" My answer is always, yes, but only if you do it correctly, using approaches you probably haven't been shown before. Take Mr. James Parker, 75. When he first visited my clinic, he stared at the floor, muttering, "My grandkids won't even come into my room anymore. My son keeps opening the windows." But after 6 months of following my guidance, he returned, beaming. "Now my grandkids climb onto my lap again. Doctor," he exclaimed, his voice filled with joy. That kind of positive change is within your reach too, without expensive gadgets or complicated prescriptions. This method, honed over 50 years of medical research, allows you to start right at home. In my clinical practice, 97% of patients saw clear improvements. Ready for the first step? It's surprisingly simple. Drink plenty of warm water. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Yes, water. Don't underestimate its power. People often ask, what good will drinking water do? Well, water helps your body flush out toxins through urine, reducing the burden on your skin to eliminate waste. Make it a habit to sip a glass of warm water first thing in the morning to kickstart your system. Mrs. Margaret Adams, 72, shared, "I struggled with the morning water habit at first, but after a month, I got used to it. Now I feel like something's missing if I skip it. My grandkids say I smell nice, and my skin looks clearer too. Aim for about 6 glasses daily. 1 upon waking, 1 before lunch, 1 after, 1 mid-afternoon, 1 before dinner, and 1 before bed. Establish a rhythm and it will feel natural.